When did someone's fear of being forgotten make everyone want to forget them? I watched my wife Diane break down when her mother with dementia looked right through her at the nursing home and asked, "Who are you, dear?" For 3 years, Diane had visited every day with photo albums, trying desperately to spark some recognition. But her mother died, never knowing she was her own daughter, calling her the nice nurse Diane until the very end. So at the funeral, as Diane held our newborn baby Mason, she kept whispering over and over to him, "I need to remember everything about you, baby. What if I forget you, like she forgot me?" After that day, something changed in Diane. She bought this expensive camera that she carried everywhere and started taking pictures of everything Mason did. His first smile got documented from 12 different angles, and she captured his first steps over and over until she got the perfect shot. I actually thought it was sweet at first. She'd spend her evenings organizing photos into these beautiful albums, each one labeled with dates and little notes about how happy Mason was when he played on the playground, or how he was feeling that day. Like how, when family came over, they loved flipping through them. My mom even asked Diane to help her organize her own photos. It made Diane happy. And honestly, I was just glad to see her smiling again after losing her mom. Sure, sometimes I wished she'd put the camera down during dinner, but when she explained she needed these memories in case her mind ever failed her, how could I argue with that? Things started getting weird when Mason turned 10. I came home one day and found him in his room putting tape over a camera in his bedroom. When I asked him about it, Diane stormed in and grounded him for trying to destroy memories. That's when I noticed cameras everywhere, even in the bathroom. I tried talking to her about boundaries, but she just started crying about how I didn't understand what it felt like to be forgotten. The next week was Mason's birthday party, and she made him blow out his candles 3 times because the audio wasn't clear enough the first 2 times. He looked so frustrated, but she wouldn't give him his presents until he complied. Then came the sleepover incident. She actually followed Mason to his friend's house with her camera, and he called me crying to pick him up early because all the kids were making fun of him. When his school banned her from filming at events, I found out she'd been bribing the security guard for cafeteria footage. I threatened to leave if she didn't get help, but she just accused me of wanting her to forget our son. By the time Mason was 14, he told me straight up that he hated her. I kept telling him to be patient, that mom was just going through something, but I was starting to lose faith myself. Everything fell apart when Mason was 17. He'd been dating this girl Paige for 3 months without telling us, which should have been my first clue that things were worse than I thought. Of course, Diane found out through her hidden cameras. Next thing I knew, she was following them everywhere with her camera. I caught her filming through restaurant windows while they were trying to have a normal date. When Mason confronted her about it, she said, "I need to remember all your milestones, sweetheart. First love is so important," and she didn't stop. A week later, I found her in Paige's driveway at midnight, trying to install a camera on their car. When I tried stopping her, she said she needed to know what he was doing at all times. Then came the night that still makes me sick to think about. Paige's parents called me screaming because they'd caught Diane outside their daughter's bedroom window with a camera. When I raced over there, Paige's father showed me the footage they'd grabbed from Diane's camera before she could delete it. There was hours of video through their daughter's window. The kids doing homework, Paige changing clothes, and worse, the 2 of them kissing on her bed. My son's first intimate moments with his girlfriend, all captured like some sick nature documentary. When I confronted Diane, she didn't even understand why it was wrong. "I'm documenting his journey to manhood," she said with this blank look. Mason saw the footage on the camera and threw up right there on the lawn. He kept saying, "Mom, how could you?" over and over while Paige cried in her mother's arms. The next morning, Paige broke up with Mason. She told him his mom was psycho and she couldn't deal with it anymore. Mason came home destroyed. He looked at Diane and said, "You ruined my life." She just smiled sadly and said, "Someday you'll understand this was all because I love you." That night, I packed our bags and took Mason to my sister's house. But Diane wasn't done. She broke into my sister's place at 3 in the morning to film Mason sleeping one last time. My sister called the cops. Then, on his 18th birthday, instead of celebrating, Mason spent the day in court filing a restraining order. The judge reviewed 52,000 hours of footage, including bathroom recordings. The judge said in 52,000 hours of footage, there wasn't a single day without bathroom recordings since Mason turned 12. The judge granted the restraining order immediately. Mason left for college and changed his phone number without telling me where he was going. A month later, I got one text from him that said, "I don't know who I am without a camera." He wouldn't speak to me anymore. Last month, Diane adopted a baby boy. My sister saw her at the grocery store with cameras already installed in the stroller. I pray for that child every single night.